What is up, guys, and welcome to the show. So I figured I'd shoot this video right now because I've been waiting for a long time, so why not? I figured I'd make this video to talk about Scream because a new Scream movie just came out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm dying to actually see it. In preparation, I went back and I watched all four Scream movies again for like the millionth time. So I figured I'd talk about it. I talked about, some of my what my favorite Scream movie is, of course, all the way to my favorite to my least favorite, who I thought was the best killer, and my hopes and kind of dreams for the number 5. So let's get into what I thought was my number 1 pick for the best Scream movie. And I think it's the same for everybody. I think everybody's favorite Scream movie is going to be number 1 because that's what started it all, and that was like has a lot of nostalgia to it. And I watched it again like 2-3 days ago for the millionth time, and it still holds up all these years later. Like, it's still a good scary movie, it's still a good horror movie. And the one thing about Scream is it seems like no matter how many times you watch it and you know who the killer is at the end, it's still a good scary movie. It's still, suspenseful. It's still, creepy and stuff like that. Like, it's still a really good scary movie. And so I thought number 1 was really great because of that, because it was, it had so much classic, like the kills were so classic, and it was just great. It was just such a great storyline. My second favorite one would probably have to be I would probably say Part 2, and I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with that, but my second favorite one was Part 2, just because the killer makes so much sense at the end. It's Billy Loomis's mother, who came back and wanted revenge for the killing of her son. And I think that makes such great sense, because not only is she wants revenge for the killing of her son, but also she's the reason, like, Sydney's mother was the reason that, she left, Billy's mom left Billy's dad, was because, her mom was, a slut and, had an affair, with the dad. So it's like her getting like revenge for the killing of her son, plus the revenge of, her husband leaving, or her leaving her husband. So it was a really good, like, just for that fact that the killer made just so much sense. Like, that was probably like a really good build up, because even if you follow the can't even think right now, the Friday the 13th series. Of course, the original killer in Friday the 13th was the mom, was Jason's mom getting revenge for Jason, and then it was Jason getting revenge for the mom. So there's always that revenge factor when you talk about, horror movies or scary movies. So I think that was just great that it was Billy's mom and stuff. So that's what really made it for me. That's why it's my number 2. Number 3, I probably would go with number 4, just because, it was quick moving. Like, basically, it was just like, a murder, bam, right off the bat, pretty much. Usually there always are in these movies, but I found it to be not something that didn't drag on or anything like that. It was very fast-paced moving. It had a good storyline. It was pretty decent. If you think about what happens in number 5, like I said, I haven't seen it, but I've seen some, spoilers and stuff like that. So if you see what happens in number 5, number 4 really makes sense in that lead up to number 5. Even though it was like 10-11 years later, there's still a good story that kind of brings it in to number 5. So yeah, number 4 was definitely my third one, and I like the killer at the end. We find out that it's Sid's cousin. So we ended up, there's that kind of family tie to it, and it was good. It was good. That one shocked me for sure. Number 3 is, of course, my least favorite. Number 3, I kind of didn't like the fact that the setting was in Hollywood. I kind of would have liked to have seen it more better if it was actually in Woodsboro again instead of being in Hollywood. And then it was just kind of confusing on why Sydney was there as well. I'm sure she probably moved because Dewey was there or whatever, but I didn't really like that. I kind of did like the fact that we seen a big backstory on, Sydney's mom, and kind of more of that. And the fact that we found out that she had a half brother was kind of cool as well, and that was a real big shocker as well. I think for shocking endings, that probably was the one that took the cake, and for sure. But that one's my least favorite anyway, for sure. I also found that kind of dragged on more as well. It was less about the killings, more about the storyline. But it's always good to have storyline. But I would have liked it to see it mixed in with kind of the killings and stuff a little bit better. They could have done a little bit better job on that one. As well as the acting was and that one was kind of just like meh. It wasn't really that great. But yeah, so there's my favorites. So let's talk about my favorite killer and why. I'd have to go with Stu and Billy as the original killers, as my favorite killers in the series, just because they were young. It was more believable. It seemed more real. It plus their reasoning was great. We ended up finding out not only did they kill everybody in the film, but it kind of took us back a little bit, and they admitted that they killed Sydney's mother as well, and why. And I mean, it just seemed like these two were such great killers, and they played it up, that part of psychopath, so good. Like, it was just having them as the killers was perfect, because even how they did it is they kind of set it up and then they took it away, and then they revealed that they were actually the killers, which was, in my mind, just pure genius. I thought it was just great feel having them as killers as well. My second favorite killer is, of course, obviously Billy's mother, because like I said, that's just genius, having somebody come back for revenge. I think that was great. My third favorite killer was probably the brother, just because it was a shocker having found out that she actually has a half brother, and it kind of ties in that whole mother thing that we've been kind of following from part 1, part 2, and part 3. Kind of ties it in together, so I thought that was great as well. And of course, Sid's cousin's my least favorite so far, but we'll see how 5 goes. My hopes for number 5 is that I don't know who the killer is, but I'm hoping that they bring back Billy and Stu, because I've heard a lot of people saying that Billy and Stu were still alive. They kept kind of hinting to the fact that they were still alive. They actually got away. They were in hiding for, I think since the first one started, it was about 25, 26 years ago. So it's 25, 26 years they've been, in hiding for that whole time. So now they come out and they've tried to finish their job. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. Is that what's going to happen? No. I'm sure it's definitely not, but I'm hoping that this one is good. I do know one of the main characters actually died, and I totally agree with that, because the character that dies, I don't want to give it away, but one of the main characters that do die between Sid, Gale, Dewey, one of them die, and I totally agree with the one that actually dies. I'm happy with that. Not because I didn't like that person, but because I feel that that's right. It's a right time for them to actually die, and it was a right way for them to actually die as well. So yeah, that's my kind of hopes for this one. And let's talk about the most kills. So I think actually the most kills go to number 4. I actually looked this up and did a little bit of research. So number 4 actually, it goes to the most kills, which I was surprised, because when I first kind of was doing my research and looking it up to what one had the most kills, it seemed like number 3 would have had more kills, but apparently it was number 4. But yeah, so that I found really surprising as well. Yeah, because sorry about that. Somebody was just there. But yeah, so I was really surprised at that fact. But this is kind of like a neat fun fact. I'm hoping that number 4 has more kills, because I would definitely love to see more gore in number 5. Sorry, on number 5, more kills. Hopefully there's more kills in number 5. Hopefully it's a little bit more extreme. I do know that apparently, I don't know if this is true, but this is what I heard, that everybody in the movie has some type of tie to the original characters, like the killers and everybody there. So I'm very curious to see how that is and how that's going to be, which is going to be interesting, because if that's true, then they're obviously going to have a certain tie to Sidney Prescott. So I'm really excited for that as well. So yeah, the movie posters and the trailers and everything looks really great. So I'm hoping there's 2 killers in this one as well. I think there's no, there's only out of the 4 movies so far, there's only been one time that there was 1 killer. Because of course part 1 was Billy and Stu, part 2 was the mom and her boyfriend, part 3 was just the brother, and then part 4 was the cousin, and I can't remember his name, but you know, the cousin's lover boy. So we'll see if number 5 there's 2 killers or just 1. I'm very curious. Hopefully there's 2. It's always nice seeing 2 and kind of the reasoning behind it. So one of the reasons that I actually like the Scream franchise as well, I know this is kind of going on and stuff, but that's okay. One of the reasons that I really like the Scream franchise, and the reason I want to see them keep going with it, is because I really love the fact that they show you the killer after every movie. Like it's not like a you know, Halloween or anything like that, where it's just one killer kind of continuing out throughout the series. I love the fact that these costumes you can buy anywhere, and then the killer could literally be anybody. Like that's what I really love about it. I really love watching these movies because there's a suspense factor in who's the killer that you find out. So you find yourself throughout that 2-hour mark or an 1.5-hour mark, continually guessing and trying to figure out who the killer is. I think that's really fun, and for me that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, is because of that reason. That's not the only reason, obviously. I really love the Scream costume, and you know, I really love how the characters are portrayed, the backstories, all that, and I really love how these killers are continuing it on, and they're continuing it on as the one main victim, which is of course Sidney. I really like that, so I do have high hopes for this movie for sure. I'm definitely really excited that they are coming out with a number 5, or came out with a number 5. I'm really excited because I heard also so far right now there's apparently a number 6 in the works, and I would love to see a number 6. I would love to see the series just continue on until Neve Campbell is like dead in real life. Give me one sec. Excuse me, sorry about that. I would love to see this just go on. Like, I would love to see Scream like 10. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but I would love, if they're not the killers in this one, I would love to see, you know, the original killers come back. You know, been in hiding for, I don't know, 25, 30 years, whenever they come back and try to finish the job of killing Sidney. You know, Billy and Stu come back as, you know, another Ghostface. I would definitely love to see that for sure. But yeah, anyway, that's the video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, very much, and we'll check the next one.